Hello, welcome to Old School Movies podcast, where I, Nora, your host, will share my reviews on some old but gold box office hits in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Rest assured that I will try not to spoil much of their golden details so that you can sit back and enjoy them later. For today's episode, the final episode of this podcast, let's dive into my top movie that exceptionally portrays different aspects of stories on the run. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Old School Movies podcast, and also its final episode. Before I start today, I would like to say thank you for all of your support so far to my Old School Movies podcast, from the very first episode to today's 9th episode. I hope that you enjoyed my review and got some chances to try out those movies. For the last episode, I'd like to make it more casual. Normally, most of my motivation for watching films were from my coincidental exposure through studying, curiosity about life, and the story given by my family. But today's episode is totally different. I watched this movie because I was extremely crazy about the masculine facial figures of Leonardo DiCaprio. I skimmed through all the films starring him in the early 2000s. Most of the time, I didn't focus on the storyline, but Leo's appearance. However, the movie I'm going to share with you today managed to shake me off my admiration for him and only hooked on its impressive plot. Catch Me If You Can, 2002, a humorous movie illustrating a chase between an FBI agent and an infamous con artist creating numerous fraudulent deeds across the states. Not just only a comedy, through laughter, this movie has brought a meaningful message on the yearning for family connection, redemption for the repentant, and an innovative notion of the gray zone between morality and merit. Catch Me If You Can, 2002, is a biographical crime drama directed by the acclaimed filmmaker Steven Spielberg. The movie is inspired by the true story of Frank Abagnale Jr., a skilled con artist who, before his 19th birthday, successfully executed millions of dollars in fraudulent checks while assuming various identities. Frank, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, disguises himself as a Pan Am pilot, a doctor, and even a legal prosecutor, all while staying one step ahead of the FBI. Tom Hanks stars as Carl Hanratty, the determined FBI agent relentlessly pursuing Frank across the globe. The film masterfully blends drama, humor, and suspense, showcasing the cat and mouse game between the two central characters. Spielberg captures the allure and complexity of Frank's schemes while exploring themes of deception, family, and redemption. Supported by a sharp screenplay and John Williams' memorable score, Catch Me If You Can is a compelling and entertaining tale of ingenuity and pursuit. Though it includes several events throughout the storyline, the movie still artistically interweaves the theme of the desire for acceptance and family connection, which is central to Frank, especially through his character and actions. Frank's journey as a skilled con artist is deeply rooted in his broken family dynamic and his yearning to restore the bond between his parents. The film begins with Frank witnessing the painful separation of his parents, a turning point that fuels his need to escape reality and craft a world where he feels in control. His elaborate schemes and deceptions can be interpreted as desperate attempts to regain the stability and validation that his fractured family life denied him. Frank's impersonations of a pilot, doctor, and lawyer are not merely about financial gain, but also a way to earn respect and admiration, emotions he rarely experienced within his tumultuous home environment. His relationship with Carl Hanratty, the FBI agent pursuing him, underscores this need for connection. Over time, Carl becomes a surrogate father figure, offering the structure and attention Frank craves, albeit in a uniquely adversarial manner. Spielberg poignantly illustrates how a lack of emotional support and family stability can profoundly influence a person's decisions. Frank's actions are a testament to the deep human need for acceptance and belonging, showing how unresolved trauma can manifest in extraordinary and self-destructive ways. The film offers a nuanced exploration of identity, validation, and the enduring impact of a family on personal choices. It's undeniable that the film successfully portrays how Frank's deception swiftly fits in different career settings, ranging from a pilot's cockpit to doctor's office. But at the same time, it doesn't undervalue the fact that such lies, though intelligent, lead to the toll on both perpetrator and those around them. Frank's deception has kept him in the unbreakable cycle of isolation, constant fear, and loss of personal connections. However, karma in relation to crimes is not the key message the movie wants to deliver. It's more of a possible redemption and chances for life making over given to any individuals who once fell into the slum of misdeeds. Despite his extensive criminal activities, fraud, impersonation, and forgery, Frank's story ultimately underscores the idea that change is possible when one is offered the right opportunities. After years of eluding the FBI, Frank's capture does not mark the end of his story, but rather the beginning of his path to redemption. Frank's transformation begins when Carl Hanratty recognizes his unique talent for forgery and deception. Instead of condemning him to a life behind bars, Carl gives Frank a chance to use his skills for a noble purpose, helping the FBI combat financial crimes. This decision not only allows Frank to repay his debt to society, but also provides him with a sense of purpose and legitimacy that he had sought throughout his life. The film's exploration of redemption is profound, illustrating that even those who have made grave mistakes can find a way to rebuild their lives. Spielberg masterfully conveys that redemption requires both external support and an internal willingness to change. Frank's journey from a con artist to a respected consultant is a testament to the transformative power of second chances, reinforcing the idea that anyone, when given the opportunity, can turn their life around and make a positive impact. Impressive as Leo's acting skills and movie's illustration, what lingers in me long after a screening hour was actually the grey areas of morality which are delicately depicted throughout the climaxes. The exploration of morality in Catch Me If You Can goes beyond a simple dichotomy of right and wrong. Spielberg crafts a narrative that forces viewers to confront the uncomfortable reality that unethical choices are not always driven by malice, but often arise from deeply personal struggles. Frank's crimes, though clearly wrong, are fueled by his longing for stability and recognition in a world that has repeatedly let him down. This creates a morally ambiguous character who evokes both condemnation and empathy. Frank's ability to manipulate and deceive highlights a sharp intellect and charisma, qualities that would have been celebrated in a more conventional setting. However, his talents are misdirected by his emotional wounds, particularly his unresolved trauma from his parents' divorce and his desire to impress his father. Spielberg uses these factors to question how much a person's morality is shaped by their environment and whether society bears some responsibility for fostering conditions that lead to such behavior. The relationship between Frank and Carl Hanratty further complicates the moral landscape. While Carl represents law and order, his growing understanding of Frank's motives and introduces a layer of compassion to his pursuit. Carl sees beyond the crimes to the vulnerable young man who is desperately searching for connection. This dynamic underscores the idea that morality is not fixed, but often influenced by empathy and understanding. Ultimately, the film suggests that while Frank's actions are indefensible, they are also not entirely irredeemable. By focusing on his eventual collaboration with the FBI, Spielberg reinforces the notion that individuals are more than their worst mistakes. Frank's story is a poignant reminder that morality often exists in a spectrum of gray, influenced by personal history, emotional needs, and the circumstances of one's life. This complexity challenges viewers to reconsider the boundaries of justice, punishment, and forgiveness. The movie Catch Me If You Can delivers profound messages about family, identity, morality, and redemption. At its core, the story examines the impact of broken familial bonds on a young man's life. Frank's journey into fraud and deception stems from his desire to cope with his parents' divorce and a longing for their approval. His actions highlight how the lack of emotional support and stability can drive people towards destructive behaviors, even as they yearn for connection and validation. Another key message revolves around adaptability and ingenuity. Frank's ability to think on his feet and seamlessly assume multiple identities illustrates the power of resourcefulness in overcoming challenges. While his actions are illegal, they underscore how creativity can open doors, though it's a reminder of the consequences of deception. Frank's life of lies isolates him, leaving him constantly on the run and unable to build meaningful relationships. This serves as a cautionary tale about the cost of dishonesty, showing that a life built on falsehoods is ultimately unsustainable. The film also emphasizes redemption, demonstrating that it's never too late to change. Frank's eventual collaboration with the FBI to combat fraud shows that skills once used destructively can be redirected for good. This aligns with the themes of perseverance and justice, exemplified by Carl's relentless pursuit of Frank. Ultimately, the movie delves into the gray areas of morality, where ambition and emotional needs collide with ethical choices, leaving viewers to reflect on the complexity of human behavior. So that's the end of my sharing today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and found it interesting. For your convenient reference to the events or angles I mentioned, please find the links to my blog page in the description where I have compiled all related information. If you have any questions or you want to discuss more on what I shared today, please leave your comments below. I would love to talk to each of you more as well. You can search for more episodes of this Old School Movies podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and my own blog page. To cater to all of your preferences using different platforms, I am also gradually uploading all my podcast episodes on YouTube. Please also subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for the latest update. Thank you for listening to today's episode all the way to the end, and also your support in each episode of this podcast. And I hope to see you again in my next podcast project, which will be released soon. Once again, this is Nora, your host. Thank you so much and goodbye.